September 3, 2024, 11 a.m. Technology Committee meeting. Take a roll call.
Berlin.
Here.
Cahill.
Here.
Carrier. Eckhoff.
Here.
Galassi. Here. Guston.
Here.
Henry.
Here.
Jorgensen. Kazmarek.
Here.
Rutledge.
Here.
White.
Here.
You.
Here.
I still have to put around. All right, a physical quorum of members are physically present. I'll entertain a motion to permit those members not physically present due to personal illness, disability, employment purposes, or for business of the board or family or other emergency to participate by video or teleconference. I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second.
Wow, that was tough.
Second.
All right, motion second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It carries. Welcome, member you.
Thank you.
Do you have any comments you'd like to make?
No, not at this time. Thanks.
Okay. She's not feeling well, so that's why she's at home. All right, do we have any public comment?
No.
No public comment. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of the August 20, 2024 meeting?
So moved.
I'll second. Any questions or comments or corrections to the minutes? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It passes. Is there a motion to approve 24-2293, recommendation for the approval of contract purchase order to SHI International Corp. for the procurement of a career software Inc. Annual hosting with premium support for information technology for the period September 14,
Move approval.
2024 through
Second.
September 13, 2025 for a contract total amount of $25,980. Moved in second. Any questions? Is this the company that does the fishing?
No, Absorb is our, yeah, no, actually, it is. Sorry, wasn't paying attention.
That's all right.
I should have been paying attention. But no, give me 1 second, sir.
So Absorb is our learning management platform.
That's the learning management.
I was
All the
just gonna
mandatory,
say,
all the
yeah,
mandatory.
Ethics training.
I got tricked over the weekend. There
Yeah,
was something to
sorry,
Talk about.
Oh, I got one of those.
I was trying to
I
bring
got an
up.
email from Deb. Was that the one you got tricked on?
No.
Yep.
No, that's not
I
the
got one of
one.
those last
not,
time.
yeah.
She never
We had
wants
done
to.
a
Blocking
couple
those. We
times.
She
get those
doesn't
a
ever
lot.
want to talk to me. That's why I knew it wasn't.
She never wants to.
But it was a different one. We'll talk after the meeting.
Yeah, sorry, you moved quickly. I was bringing up the presentation when you were talking, so I wasn't
Okay.
sure.
All right, no questions or comments regarding this agenda item. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, that passes. Okay, IT project updates. Anthony, do you have anything on?
I do, let me just bring it up, sorry, that's what I was trying to do, is bring
150
it up.
slide presentation.
You're
lunch.
very fast, Grant, so. Give
Sorry.
me 1 second to bring up the presentation. But while I do that, so Absorb is our learning management system. We replaced the old homegrown system with that new application that allows for us to keep track of all of our training throughout DuPage County. All right, thank you. Okay, so quarterly, as you know, I provide updates on all of our major projects. Not all of our projects. I always like to reinforce that because they are operational projects that we do on a regular basis. It's a long list, and it would do nothing but bore you. But these are the ones that are impactful to the county and either involves the entire county or a significant group within the county. Before I get started, I do want to say that this list is not as large as it has been in the past, and that is deliberate. One of the things we said we wanted to work on as an organization this year is our theme is operational excellence, which essentially means that less projects, more about improving the technology that we've already purchased, the new processes or services that we've implemented, trying to figure out better ways to optimize those things before we spend any more money and focus on any other projects. So the ones that you see are what we consider to be essential, and that's our probably will be our focus for the next 2 or 3 years, really trying to get us to 80 to 90 to 100% in terms of usage of the existing applications and services that we currently have. So much shorter. I'm saying that because this presentation is a lot shorter than has been in the past. So the first item, of course, is ERP systems, which involves the 2 phases. The current phase is HR payroll, Dayforce implementation. Just 2 things I wanted to highlight there. We have done a lot since our last meeting, the last update that I provided. I think you remember we were supposed to go live in July, and we extended it to March. We have tons of things that we still are working through. So right now, our current go live is tentative. Until we figure out what our path looks like and that we address some of those current challenges. Things like completing our parallel testing, a little more complex, taking longer than we originally anticipated. Ensuring that we have proper training in place is super important. So we started some of the training already, but have not completed it. And then there are some operations out there that we're also trying to focus on. So just giving you really a heads up that we are working on this implementation. Our ultimate goal is to ensure that we get it right more than anything else. We don't want to rush for a date. It really doesn't mean a lot. So October 1st doesn't mean anything related to DuPage County. So, you know, if we miss that date, it's not as critical as if we had some major deadline related to, you know, a new law or something that we're implementing. So, any questions on that one?
Yeah, so I've been pretty involved on this one, obviously, because it affects every single employee here at DuPage County getting their paycheck. So we don't take this one lightly. And my direction to Anthony and Chris Clevenger and her team, I mean, first of all, everybody's been all in on this one, but my direction has been, it's perfect before it gets rolled out, because this is one we can't really screw up. And keep in mind too, it has to be implemented by the quarter. So if it's not October 1, which is not looking like it's gonna be, it would be January 1. And then it would be the next quarter. And I'm kind of pushing them to consider the next quarter, because January 1 is end of the year. You have W-2s, you have everything else, and try to do training when half the people are out of the office. So this is one of those that it seems like everything's kind of conspiring to push this. And we are okay with that because it impacts every single person. This is one thing we don't want to get wrong. And so that's why likely it will be pushed, and it could be pushed by 6 months.
Just in terms of some of our planning for the election, how likely that it's not gonna be October 1st?
How likely? 100%
Okay,
likely.
thank you.
So, and I will tell you, he brought up a great point. So there's so many components of it, and the election is a big component. I mean, so much goes into it. And although the old system is really, really clunky, and it's a clunky system that does work. And so we don't want to reinvent the wheel necessarily before the election.
But you have another municipal election.
Right.
It really is big, though.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
there's always an election. I've learned that there's always an election every time. So yeah, this one's a big one.
Yeah. Okay, so that's it for the date. Thank you. Yeah. So the second project I wanted to provide you an update on is our mainframe shutdown, or we call it mainframe sunsetting the application. So we're in great shape there. As I mentioned in June, 90, at the time, I think it's at 95% of the applications have been rolled off, even more have been rolled off. The only remaining major application on the system is the warrants application. So the sheriff's office in June selected through an RFP process, a application called Cloud Gavel. That is a great application that not only does what our mainframe does today, but a lot of other functionalities built into Cloud Gavel. They are actively working with that vendor to create a project plan that includes a timeline. Right now, they believe that they can complete it at the beginning of Q1 of next year, maybe January, maybe February, but they'll know a little more details according to Jason Snow from the sheriff's office over the next week or two as they finalize the details. So the next update, I'll have a definitive date. But once the warrant application is moved over, we will move forward with shutting down our mainframe. Any questions on that? I know you've heard that one for a while, but getting close. All right, so those are the two major projects that we're working on. So a few additional projects that I wanted you to have an update on. Number one is PRMS, the Police Records Management System. We're upgrading the application to a new solution that's web-based called MFR, Mobile Field Reporting, and OCR, on-call records. It addresses a lot of the police agencies' concerns about reporting and functionality. But it's a complex implementation that it's going to take us over a year to complete. Right now, the anticipated go live is Q3 of 2025. So around November of next year is when we think we'll be able to complete the upgrade. We made progress. We've set up a test environment, and we're bringing in police agencies to have their records managers and their police officers test the system as one of our big next steps forward. The second item is also related to police records management. We have received a lot of requests from police agencies to take another look at the application that we use. I think for a lot of different reasons. Hexagon is the application that we currently use. It is used globally like by police agencies a lot here within the United States. One of the top organizations, but with those type of organizations that have the majority of the work, in a lot of cases, they grow stagnant with, upgrading the applications. And I think that has been the case with Hexagon. It doesn't look as cool and exciting as some of the newer applications that are out there. Namely, there's one called Axon, which Axon is the company that provides the cameras and the tasers, the body cameras and tasers for police agencies. So they're excited about that, and they want to take a closer look at those types of applications, which makes sense to us. So we are working with 31 of our agencies to create this RFP, get it out over the next few months, so we can take a look at it and see what's out there. So there's a chance and an opportunity for us to improve the application. We're going to go with it. One slight point that I think you should be aware of, we are doing this in partnership with ETSB and Linda Zerwin. The opposite side of police records management is the CAD side, which deals with 911 computer aided dispatches CAD, which allows for those two PSAPs that we have in place to take calls, manage their calls. They're going to also issue an RFP at the same time. So they're going to do the same thing, look at the different applications that are out there. Even if they stick with the Hexagon product, they're going to use this as an opportunity to renegotiate with Hexagon to, bring down the price, but also potentially get more functionality out of it for a cheaper price. All right, and then last but not least, we've been talking about the FOIA request tool. I think the next step is to meet internally to really talk about the need and where we are in the process. We are continuing to move this along. Within the next couple of months, I think we will have a decision on what the leadership would like to do with this longer term. So we haven't started on it, but I'm going to keep it on this list until I have confirmation of either canceling this project or moving forward.
So who's looking at that?
It's a combination of Nick and some others, our state's attorney's office.
FOIAs all the time.
Correct. They're also involved. Yeah. So therefore, yep. So Connor's one of them.
I'm the guy. You are the only one. I've got somebody in my office that does a ton of them.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're talking FOIA request. So, yeah.
What's the goal of the software?
The role, I'm sorry.
Goal. What is the goal to make it
It is
easier?
to help us better manage and to get a better handle on our FOIA requests from all of the different entities who get requests, keep track of it, get it in front of the state's attorney's office. This application allows us to do that, so they can review all of them before anything is sent out.
Will it still rely on the employees to search their emails to find out if
That's a
somebody?
different tool, so, yeah.
I will, so we're looking at, right now, it's kind of the manual method. It's worked fine. We fulfill the FOIAs, we get it done. I mean, this system brings it together, but then it's all, I mean, you guys all received the memo from the chair that we have a $20-some million budget shortfall. It's just a matter of resources. Where are they best? So we are meeting internally to further explore it, what's happening. I think structurally, we're making some changes that are recommended by the state's attorney's office. And then we'll go down that path. But that is ultimately the question that we have to ask ourselves is a yearly fee worthwhile given, the financial constraints we have, or is our current system sufficient? That's what we've got to ask.
Or somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, or somewhere in the middle. And we're meeting as a team and we will discuss all those and then we'll figure out, we'll bring it to the tech committee and we can figure out where we want to do it. But financially, the requirements of having a new system right now, our FOIA system is free because it's all internally.
not free.
Over a couple of years, I mean, that could be $250,000 all in, but over like 2-3 years. So we just need to figure out what makes sense financially.
But just remember, it takes a fair amount of labor time. of people
Absolutely.
In the offices, so it's not free
Well,
at all.
that's the question is, will this system significantly cut down on the internal labor time? All of that needs to be factored in. I mean, those are all, but I think we already have our meeting set up, don't we, Connor?
It's next week sometime.
Yeah.
Oh, no, maybe it's 2 weeks.
So we will continue to explore because I mean, FOIAs are growing bigger and bigger and bigger. Every department is having to fill more and more and more of these. And they are getting, more and more complicated as well.
Any other questions or comments? Thanks for the report.
One more slide.
Never mind.
That's okay. All right, last slide is, I just wanted to give the tech committee an update on the municipal technology roundtable because it impacts you and your districts. We had 2 successful events. AI workshop, we did a great workshop. I think it was 5 hours or something like that. There were elected officials there, department heads, SMEs, and also individuals from municipalities. Went very well, over 60 people, but we essentially focused on what is AI, what does it mean to government. We did some live demos of a few tools so they would have a perspective of how it works and how it potentially could impact them. And then we had discussions on use cases. Next steps are for us to conduct targeted use case workshops with those individual groups. They work differently, so their need is different. And then we're going to release an AI guideline pretty soon so that the board can review and the state's attorneys can approve to make a policy on how we should use AI within our organization. We probably need to do that sooner than later. We've gathered a lot of information, learned a lot from other government organizations and private organizations, but the more people use AI, the more we really need this. We are really worried about sensitive and private data getting out if they use it in the incorrect way, right? If they take the data, use it with one of the existing applications like ChatGPT, it could then be shared with other organizations. We don't want to have that. So we're going to get those guidelines out probably within the next month so that all involved can review and approve them. And then we also had our first cybersecurity task force meeting, which was also went very well. We covered a lot of different things like the mission and goals of that group, opportunities for us to work together and share information. And then we demoed our communications platform and discussed an application, a new group called DuMat, which I think all of you would be interested in. It's going to be led by Craig Diekman, but it's a DuPage mutual aid technical team. Essentially, it's for emergencies. So if we have another outage like the CrowdStrike software outage, this group has a group of volunteers from different municipalities, different departments will come together to help whatever entity who's impacted. So just say it's Naperville and they have issues and they're part of DuMat. All other municipalities, including resources from DuPage County, will come to the aid to help them out with whatever they need to get back up and running as quickly as possible. All right, next meeting, Thursday, November 7th. That's it.
Any questions? Chairwoman, you has a question?
Actually, I had a couple comments. Thank you, Chair. Anthony, with regard to the AI guidelines, McHenry County reached out to me stating that they had started their AI guidelines and we're actually using NACO's as a starting point. And I was wondering if we could look at NACO's as well, and maybe take a look at McHenry's to see what they're doing. And then second, with regard to DuMat, I was at the, as you know, at the cybersecurity meeting, and I thought it was a great start to our cybersecurity task force. But I think DuMat will become really, really important as time goes on because as we learned from Gartner cybersecurity, that it's only a matter of time as to when a ransomware attack or another kind of attack can happen to any of our partner agencies or to the county itself. So thank you.
All right, thank you, Chair. And just want to respond to your suggestion about working with NACO. We've looked at quite a few existing policies. San Jose has one of the best out there, and we've modeled after them and a few others, but we'll definitely take a look at NACO as well and the other organization that you said. So the other municipality.
Great, thank you.
Any other questions, comments? Hearing none, is there any old business? Yes.
Anthony, thank you for providing this. My question, or my first comment is, we love to see people coming in under budget, so congratulations on there. But just looking at a trend, your surplus is getting bigger every year, which again means that you're doing a great job being efficient, but I'm, knowing that we're dealing with a shortage in the budget, we're trying to get some of these budgets a little tighter. My two-part question is, can we get year-to-date 24 as a, actuals with the 7 or 8 months that we've had? And how that compares to budgeted? And is this trend continuing that, you're, roughly 9-10% over budget? And, if so, are you looking to bring your budget more in line with previous year's actuals?
Those are all great questions. So for those of you who don't know what she's referring to, I shared a memo which highlights basically our actuals from 2021 to 2023. Member Galassi asked for that in our last meeting. So the first question you had was, can we do it for FY 2024? We absolutely can. We actually did it. We didn't add to this, but we'll share it with you. Looks like we're right on target. We'll be much less than about 5%, I think, 6% or so.
Yeah, and still need to do forecasting with all the managers just to make sure we're looking at not just what's been spent, what's coming up, what do we need to spend before the end of the fiscal year and make sure we've got some firm numbers.
Okay.
So
Perfect.
we'll get that detailed.
Soon as we get those numbers, we'll share FY 2024 out with you. And I'm sorry, what was the?
Well, you kind of answered it. You said
Okay.
this year you're a little, your
Oh, right,
surplus will
right.
be
Yeah,
less.
yeah,
You said you're more at 5-6%.
I think we'll be closer to 5 or 6%
Okay.
moving forward. Some of this had to do with ARPA funding, how we used it. Some of it had to do with applications that we had planned for. The FOIA request was one of them. We put that in the budget. We're still waiting to get approval for that, and that's been outstanding, but we didn't spend the funds for it. Some of it has to do with personnel. So it's
Okay.
open positions. We are hoping to close all of our open positions, but it seems like as soon as we close them, there's someone resigning. It's a nickel.
Okay.
So it's a combination of those things. Yeah.
Go ahead.
So the paragraph down below talks about $1 million in credits applied after its closure. So that 800,000 became 1.8 million. Is that correct? Okay, so if we have a better accounting for these prepaid credits, we really need to take a look at that for this year so that we do not, our final budget is contains those credits in there, so we're aware of that, so. Because it's really 1.8 million over now, not 800,000.
We agree 110%. So we've talked to finance about that.
Okay.
It's really how they account for it. So they added the credits after our budget was closed. So we couldn't spend that $1 billion, right? But going forward, it's really for licensing things that are paid over a multiple year period.
Right.
They create a big PO, encumber those funds, and then I think they credit us every year for those funds, right? So we've talked to
Can't
finance.
anticipate that, though.
We can.
Okay,
And we have talked to finance about it, and I think, they're changing how they do that. Am I right, Richard?
Yeah, they just started doing it, I believe, 3 years ago. So I think a lot of departments are learning how it's done and.
it's actually
IT
accounting,
spend.
yeah, you
Yeah.
have, per accounting method, you have to do that, so.
Right, so, yeah, and since, IT generally, we buy 3-year, licensing deals, you get the best discounts with multi-year agreements. So we just need to make sure that, one, we're accounting for that moving forward, and then make sure that we're getting credits applied before the end of the fiscal year, so there's an opportunity to actually,
Okay.
spend the money.
Sounds good.
A great question.
And any other old business? Any new business? Hearing no objection, we are adjourned.